Hi, we're up to Shin Mem Aleph. Shin Mem Aleph, which is Heter Nedorim b'Shabbos. Are you allowed to be matir neder on Shabbos? Says the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mechaber. Matirim Nedorim b'Shabbos. You're allowed to undo Nedorim, to be matir Nedorim on Shabbos. Im heim l'tzorech Shabbos, so long as they are l'tzorech Shabbos. Kagoin shenoda shelo lechol. For example, a person made a neder, he's not going to eat. Ay sheloi lishtos, he's not going to drink. Afal pi sheholo pnai latirim kodim Shabbos. Even though he could have undone them before Shabbos. We allow him to do it on Shabbos. Aval habal yochel lahofa nidrin ishtay afilu she'enim l'tzorech Shabbos. But a husband can do Hatoras Nedorim for his wife's Nedorim, even those Nedorim which are not l'tzorech Shabbos. Mimpnei she'im lo yofa lo hayom lo yuchel od lafirim. Because when it comes to Hatoras Nedorim for a husband to a wife, he's only got a very limited window to do it. He's only got one day, and therefore, if he misses the boat, he's got a problem. And the Nedorim are going to be chal, and we'll never be able to undo them. It says in the Mishnah Berurah, Im heim l'tzorech Shabbos, avol shelo l'tzorech Shabbos. But if, it says in the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Aleph, but if they're not l'tzorech Shabbos, afilu lo hayolo pnai lehatzir kodim, ein matirin. Even if he didn't have time before Shabbos, we don't allow him to be matir the neder, mishum dehalo yochel lehatzir achar Shabbos, because you can do it after Shabbos if it's not related to Shabbos. V'lo melon etruchi b'Shabbos b'chti, and why bother him unnecessarily to do this on Shabbos? V'adinim hu l'tzorech mitzvah gam kein matirin afal pi she'ena l'tzorech Shabbos. So there's two Hatoras. Number one, if you look at footnote number one, Nedorim she'ena l'tzorech Shabbos. Kosav melech Hashem shelo rak sheyochel atir mele yesh mitzvah b'dava. It's a mitzvah to do it, because if you made a neder you're not going to eat, then come Shabbos you're not going to enjoy Shabbos foods, and therefore it will take away from your kavod Shabbos, Einik Shabbos, and therefore there is a mitzvah to do it. That's number one. Number two, a very interesting thing regarding kol nidre. Right, so if you look at footnote 2, he says, "V'chein in tefillas kol nidre shebelel Yom Kippur." The Ramah writes in Tofrei Shutes, "Sheyesh la'omrim b'od yom." You should really begin kol nidre before Yom Kippur begins, and the Mishnah Berurah says over there, "Shatamhu mepnei shedoime hadov k'tzas la'Hatoras Nedorim," because kol nidre is somewhat similar to Hatoras Nedorim. She'ein osim osom b'Shabbos v'Yontif, which is our halacha. V'das hagonim nissen kareditz. And in other places as well. Really, you only have to do it once before Shkia, because it's sometimes quite tight to do all three, especially if the chazan is singing, and therefore, so long as you do it once, that would be sufficient. Okay, but that's just a connection to this sif that we try and do kol nidre. At least the Ramah says before Shkia. Okay, carrying on the Mishnah Berurah here. So if a person made the neder shelo lechel, sif cotton base, pirush. Hayom, that means today. I'm not going to eat in the next 24 hours. For lav dafke im noder legamri ma'achil v'shtia. Lav dafke he didn't eat. He refrained from eating and drinking. V'huadin im noder ma'achilas baso shtias yain gam ke matirin. Even if he just specified meat or wine. The dov is who mitzvah b'Shabbos. These things are a mitzvah to have on Shabbos. V'huadin im noder shlelilbash malbush hatzorech hayom. For example, he made the neder not to wear smart clothes, not to wear a suit, or something like that, and that's big day Shabbos, and therefore he's a gam kain shari will be allowed to be matir that type of neder on Shabbos. If he made a neder, I'm not going to sleep the next 24 hours, shena b'Shabbos tanuk, and therefore that would also be allowed to be matir that neder. The matir lo to zehu gam kain mitanug Shabbos imhu rogel bekach. That's part of Einik Shabbos. Okay, nidre ishtay. However, we said when it comes to the wife's nedarim, you're allowed to make for them, even if it's shelo l'tzorech Shabbos, because you're going to miss the window with which you're allowed to be made for those nedarim. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you've got in Gimel, for hu hadin av lebitay na'ara. So too with a father for his daughter when she's a na'ara, which is up to the age of 12 and a half. He gives details in footnote 9. Issa b'yeredeh, siman reish lamed dalet, sif chaf dalet, d'keshemefa b'Shabbos, when a man is made for his wife's nedarim on Shabbos, lo yom lo mufalichi kamosha mavachal. He shouldn't use that expression which he uses in the weekday. Ela meifer umavatel haneder b'libo. He just thinks it and does it in his mind, in his heart. Va'imelo tzliva ichli tzliva shti. And then he just says that, okay, you can go eat and go drink. Or pashat, the imabal in yodea inyan minidra ishta. If he doesn't know that his wife's made a certain neder, v'hu shelo l'tzorech Shabbos, and it's not l'tzorech Shabbos, yoseh tov shelo lohidia lo. It's better she doesn't tell him about it b'Shabbos adach haShabbos, because why bother? Kadei shelo yitztarech lahafer b'Shabbos b'yom hashmiya, because it won't necessitate him to make the Hatoras and Nedorim on the day he hears it, because the window only starts, the clock starts ticking only when he hears it. V'hu adin im nodru l'zman v'azman kol b'Shabbos, and so too, if they made the neder for a certain time frame, and that time frame finishes on Shabbos, ein rishai lahafer heichesh adova ein l'tzorech Shabbos. When the time frame is not, when the matter is not l'tzorech Shabbos, you don't need to be made for the neder, because I can do it tomorrow. I can do it on Sunday. Why therefore bother to do it today? And therefore it's similar to a Shedas Nedorim, where if it's not related to Shabbos, you don't really need to do it. Okay, and we said with Nidra Ishta you're allowed to do it because lo yuchel oid lahafiram, you'll miss the window to be made for the neder. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Dalet, she'ein yochel lahafer ela b'yom shamay dafka. The rule is you can only be made for the wife's nedarim b'yom shamay, or chedichsiv b'yom shamay, like the pasuk says. Va'afilu shamay b'Shabbos samach lechashecha koydem yitzias haShabbos mutar lahafer. Even if you only hear about the neder on Shabbos afternoon, quite close to the end of Shabbos, you're allowed to. To bizman hafaros lo have me'es leis, because it's not, the window is not 24 hours. Ela oisa hayom bavad. It's that day. So if you're here on Friday night, then you've got a long day. You've got till Motzei Shabbos. But if you're here on Shabbos afternoon, you've got a very short window to be made for the neder. Tahainu imshoma b'layla yesh lo zman lahafer lo kol halayla v'chol hayom Shabbos, like I just said. V'imshoma b'yom afilu somach chashecha ein lehetza lahafer lo ela koydem halayla. You better get on with it. And therefore, either way, you're allowed to be made for the wife's nedarim, even though they're not related to Shabbos, because otherwise you're going to miss the window. Okay, base. Mi shenishpa lasos melacha plonis adzman plonis. Let's say a person made a neder. I'm going to do a certain activity, and I've got 72 hours to do it. V'lonis damino lasoisa ad yom acharon, and you didn't get around to doing it until the last day. Shalosa zman v'osa hayom ba b'Shabbos, and that last day is Shabbos. And you can't do the work on Shabbos. So what are you going to do? V'yesh psachim lahatzin nidra, and there are ways to get out of the neder. You're allowed to be shel on that neder even though it's Shabbos, to make sure you don't violate, you don't transgress violating your neder. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Bob Shabbos, so let's say you you've got the horrible job that you can't get around to doing at home. You're going to clean the windows, you're going to mow the lawn, and I'm going to you make a neder, I'm going to mow the lawn in the next 72 hours. And then suddenly you're sitting at their Shabbos lunch, you think, oh boy, today is 72 hours, I made a neder, I can't mow the lawn today, I'm going to violate my neder, what shall I do? V'yesh le pesachim, says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkot and Vav, v'hu adin, da'afilu im ein le pesach ele charotza, even if the only pesach is out of regret, me'ekara lachud, that's, that I retroactively regret it, Gam kein matirin loy, we allow the person to be matir that neder, kadesh lo yavar al nedre, that he shouldn't violate his neder. Ach be'emes halo yochel lasos mecharot gufa pesach. The charot itself, the regret, I shouldn't have made that neder, is sufficient of a pesach to undo the neder, to shalin lo. Ilu hayodeh she'ischarit, had you known that you would have regretted, would you have made such a neder shvua? And when he responds, no, matirin lo, we undo it for him. I feel b'Shabbos even when it's on Shabbos. And the reason is, if we don't allow him to be matir the neder today, that's the whole point. So Sif base is basically saying that if a person makes a time-bound neder, let's say 72 hours, I'm going to mow the lawn, and the last day happens to be Shabbos, we allow him to be matir the neder on Shabbos, to be shayl al nidrei, because otherwise he'll violate lo yachel devarei. Okay, Sif Gimel. Nagu lahatzir chermei hakahal. Chazal allow to be matir charomim, various the declarations and charomim and vows against the community b'Shabbos, alfa pisha ein l'tzorech haShabbos, even though it's not a tzorech haShabbos. So how come? Says the Mishnah Berurah, lefisha ein derech lios knufyo el b'Shabbos, because when you're going to have a large gathering of people, when do the crowds come? On Shabbos. Ve'im lo yatiruhu If we're not matir that cherem, lo yisasu b'yom. It's hard to get people together on another day. And therefore they'll never get around to it. And that's similar to the neder ishta we spoke about in Sif Aleph, that we allow it because there's like a limited time frame. In note 15, he says an interesting addition, and he says, the implication of the Ramah is that it's just it's charomim against the tzibur that we are undo on Shabbos. Even a cherem that the tzibur imposed on an individual, mutar lahatze b'Shabbos, we are allowed to undo that on Shabbos. Kim shebimos hachol lo yuchel hayochid lekabetz bekalus es hakal kadesh yatirim loy. Because it's the same svar. It's hard for that individual to get the whole community together to be matir his neder. So therefore we allow that. We allow that as well. Okay, so that's the end of Shimem Aleph. So just to summarize, we say that generally speaking, you're not allowed to do Hatoras and Nedorim on Shabbos, unless A, it's L'tzorech Shabbos. For example, you made a neder, I don't want to eat, don't want to sleep, don't want to wear Shabbos clothes, things like that. We allow the Hatoras and Nedorim then. Or Nidrei Ishte we allow as well, even if it's not L'tzorech Shabbos, because Hatoras and Nedorim for a wife, there's a limited time frame and you're going to miss the boat if we don't allow it. And if a person makes a neder that he's going to do a melacha and the sell-by date finishes now on Shabbos, we allow the Hatoras and Nedorim that he shouldn't violate lo yachel devaro. And we also allow the Hatoras of a chermei hakahal, either on the whole community or the cherem of a community on an individual. We allow that on Shabbos because that's the time when everyone is going to be gathered together and it's easier to do.